Yeah. So Shubhaji, have you been catching up on the videos?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. So before we jump into Saravanan, today we need to start talking about 55, right?
Yeah, 54 is where we maybe we can recap on 54. I'm
Correct.
not sure if we like if you're completely, yeah. So one thing I realized is when there is a group, there is a lot more discussion on the topic.
Yeah.
The smaller, or as I was sharing with my aunt, it goes
Yeah.
very fast if it is just one person or two people. So
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
just telling her, I had to stop at one point and told her that like, it's not a theory that like we can just keep going.
Yeah.
We have to soak in that
Yeah.
for long,
Yeah.
so that like the real essence is actually we get it right. So
And see, that is the power of satsang. What
yeah.
happens is each one of us come with our own content and our own views of looking at the world. And the value is look at it from all the angles. Then, naturally some kind of unity in those views start appearing. So asatoma sadgamaya, to look for the truth in the ever-changing content of the mind. So therefore, more the content, then there is a lot more clarity, because we need to see it from multiple angles.
Yeah, it cannot be like a teacher-led classroom kind of thing where like they just take the topics and move on. It becomes,
Yeah, but that also works if you see Yama, Nachiketa. So these are all our Uddalaka and his father and his son Shvetaketu. But the understanding is that these sadhakas, whether it's Nachiketa or Shvetaketu, have come to a certain level of practice. There's a certain refinement that has already happened in their feeling, in their thinking process. So once when that is there, then the mind is subtle enough to focus on the pointers that are being given by the Sadguru. Because these are very subtle pointers.
yeah.
All right. So yeah, we can recap till where we have discussed till 54. Shubhaji, can you please take us through from, is it number 50? Yeah. Where does the Jagatutpati talks begin?
54. 54 is where we start Jagatutpati.
No, Shubhaji hasn't shared her viewpoint.
Okay.
From, I think 51 itself. Yeah, from 51.
51.
Yeah, from 51. Yeah. Yes, Shubhaji.
I am not that great like Saravananji and Padmaji, sir. Just I have written.
Shubhaji, cuckoo bird doesn't have to sing like parrot. And that's what makes it so unique and wonderful to listen to. So it's really not about, how should I put it? In the ultimate analysis, it is not really what one is saying, but what one realizes and what others feel in their presence. The other day I heard a wonderful analogy from Prabhuji. It is like, what is the difference between Rajasic, Tamasic, Rajasic, Sattvic gunas? Fundamentally, what do you understand from that? All the three are gunas.
Yeah.
What's the fundamental difference?
Sattvic is sadhu gunas, Rajasic is Raja gunas, Tamasic is that murderous character.
Yeah, it's more like in other words, laziness is what is we associate with tamasic, like Kumbhakarna, eat, sleep. Then Rajasic is more like Ravana, very egocentric activity. I want. And Sattvic, in the same analogy, we associate Vibhishana. But still, these three are gunas, and Rama is said to be guna atita. So then what is that these three gunas indicate?
What is guna atita?
Guna atita means beyond the gunas.
Is it the moment one manifests as a human will go through the gunas, right?
So as a body and mind, it is definitely guna only. There is no escape from that, because a material existence is combination of the gunas. But the pointer to the fundamental truth, pure awareness is guna atita. So in such a being, there is no discussions, no confusions about who I am, about the role they are playing in life. So that is why these three gunas are at the material level, at the prakriti level, and pure awareness is atita, beyond. But the question I'm raising here is, what do these three gunas mean in terms of application to us? What does it mean to you? Is the question clear, or is the question too vague?
Is it like how? Is it like trying to understand that like all these three gunas are still needed, but it needs to be in a balance, or?
Yeah, see, therefore, there's also usually you have heard this story of the three thieves in the jungle.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah.
So the three gunas are like the three thieves. So there's a traveler passing by. The tamasic wants to just burn him, murder him after stealing everything. The Rajasic says, it's okay, let's just tie him and run away. Anyway, we have taken whatever we wanted. The Sattvic says, we've taken what we wanted, but let's leave him, let him go. But all the three are pointed as a thief. So what does it indicate to you?
So gunas are still like a thief.
Yeah, means what?
We need to rise above the gunas and we become like Lord Rama.
So which means what? What does this guna manifest as within us? How do you see the play of the gunas within you?
We cannot become ultimately without any gunas. So right from we have to become sattvic first. Then only we can.
Correct. Perfectly correct. So the more the sattvic the mind becomes, the more the subtler the mind is, because sattva guna means to be able to realize the essence. That is also correct. But how does that operate within us? What does it operate as?
Food.
Food is the one that we consume. So sattva is not just the food.
Is it a feel-good factor?
Yeah, feel good happens after the action has been done, right? So, but the sattva guna or the rajo guna or the tamo guna, how do they manifest? How do you connect to it?
You have to get the knowledge.
Correct. That is also correct. To go beyond or to realize the essence, you have to realize that that is also not who I am. That is also correct. Okay, let me put the question this way. What does tamoguna do what does it prompt you to do?
To move.
Ah,
So tamo guna points to rajas. From tamo, you like it prompts you to move towards.
yeah,
And rajas again points to sattvic.
yeah, yeah.
Right, and same way the sattvic has to will point to the no guna state.
Yeah. But within that, each of these gunas are operating as the individual I. I am very lazy. I want to sleep. Okay. I have to do a lot of things. I have to achieve. I have become very peaceful. I have to do puja. I have to do the service of others. So all the three, the commonality in all the three is the I-ness. The nature of what that I does is different, but the I is still the common. So to say Rama is guna atita, it means that it is beyond the confines of the individual ego. So the individual ego is dropped. See, the individual ego is very thick at the tamo level. He is there at the rajo level. And in the tamo level, it is not even recognized. In the rajo level, it is recognized and it is out there to grab things, to achieve things. Sattva level, it is becoming subtler, but still it is not dropped completely. So a Sadguru, one we refer as a Sadguru, is like a pure mirror. And the other three levels, the mirrors are work in progress. Because still, I have to polish it. I have to keep polishing it. And I take the guidance of the words of the Sadguru to polish it. So at the Rama level, at the Sadguru level, it is sahaja. There is no more, I have to do something in order to become peaceful. Oh, I meditated a lot, I became peaceful. So which means that there is still doing and then getting something. Nothing wrong with that, because that keeps giving us the glimpse. But ultimate reality is that pure mirror is your true nature. And that is not an intellectual affair. It's not a thinking from the mind. Oh, I'm a pure mirror, I'm a pure mirror. So as the impressions, as the hold of the impressions start coming down, naturally the pure mirror nature starts shining. Because what we are doing as effort is removing the soot on the mirror. So now, why are we discussing this with respect to what Shubhaji said? Because this whole conversation started with what Shubhaji said. How is this connected? How are these two connected? Why is it relevant?
Each one has different gunas.
Each one has different gunas. That is correct. Definitely. In the sense that the mind is a constitution of gunas. So there is a combinations are different. Correct. But with respect to specifically what you said, why are we choosing this as an example? Is it even relevant? Do you see the connection?
Even the gradation or the comparison is still at guna levels.
Yeah.
Rajas is better than tamas. Sattva is better than rajas, but then we have to go beyond the gunas. Our understanding is what is important, not what we are saying or who. Right? Somebody can talk very nicely, explain very nicely. That it is still in one of these gradations.
So another example my guru always gives is, printing press. It prints books. So now Gita Press, printing press, by now has printed billions of copies of Gitas. But would you call that printing press a realized printing press? So there is no way that, one can say, okay, so they, for example, you'll hear some people who quote a lot, particular Bhagavad Gita shlokas, particular Upanishad shlokas, reference to context is precise. For that matter, Devasthanams, during the Devasthanam puja, they are chanting that Upanishad mantra. But, you don't go to them for wisdom. So these are two distinct things. There is no way that cuckoo can ever be parrot. And to look at the beauty of parrot is the essence. So you have your own way of bringing out the truth. And you are excellent at it. And Saravananji has his own way of expressing it. And that's what makes him unique. If you start talking like Saravanan, either one of you is not needed.
Yeah.
There is only one Shubha that has ever been and ever will be. And that Shubha has to express. And that Shubha is what the world has to hear and resonate with.
Yeah.
So don't be worried at all.
That brings us that question in T55, where are you aware of the flower? How do you know it's a flower? It is what probably says no. It is like, are you Shubha? How do you know it's she Shubha?
I have started applying that often. The moment I form an image, then I say like, it is my own interpretation of what it is, and like it may not be at all that. Okay. Right? Any people, object, anything I see, right? It's all my mental image. I don't know. That was a good point, actually. Yeah.
Yes, Shubhaji.
And T51, what I understood is, we realize that we are not the koshas. So we are not the pancha koshas, and we approach reality. The main approach to reality is we have to get free from sufferings. Holding on to it will lead to more suffering, is what I understood.
Hari Om Padmaji.
Hari Om Padmaji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir. Hari Om, everyone.
Shubhaji said, until Padmaji comes, I will not begin my.
See, so my class also got postponed. I was supposed to join late today, but yeah, I waited for him, the instructor, and he said I am postponing.
The Maya played its role.
Yeah.
I'm waiting here.
Yes.
So before we go to our T55 sharing of our views, Shubhaji is summarizing from 51 to 54.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Shubhaji.
Yeah. So we realize that we are not the Panchakoshas, and then the only Sat which is I am is the part I am, which is the Sat in our existence, and we should be conscious about that. So to reach the stage of Ananda. So in this part, we discussed about the direct and the indirect. Indirect is the paroksha, which is what we believe in, the belief, and the anumana, which is the inference, and pratyaksha, which we use the sense organs to go through all these things.
So from that, what is your realization, Shubhaji? How do you what does it mean to you as far as the day-to-day, moment-to-moment life is concerned?
See, lot of our thing, my thing in daily life is lot of our things goes based on the Anumana, is what I feel. So from Anumana, we have to get out of that. When we get out of that Anumana part, that is when we realize that we have to get into that aparoksha anubhuti, which is our own awareness. That is when we get independent of everything, or we have that realization that I is independent of everything, is what I understood from this T51.
Excellent. Then how do you shift? Is there a process? Is there a approach to shift from Anumana way of living to Aparoksha?
It's through knowledge.
Yeah, through knowledge,
Yeah.
you realize that I'm interpreting, I'm constantly judging. So through knowledge, you come to realize that.
Yeah.
But now life is happening. As life is happening, how to be staying without connection to the content of the mind, because the Anumana still comes, based on the training of whatever has gone in, it'll still keep coming.
Yes.
So is there any approach? Is there anything to do by which you can
when we draw the attention to the self, then automatically this Anumana part goes away. So that's the basic understanding I got. I haven't gone deeper into it.
Excellent. Very nice. So okay, let me put the question this way. How do you draw the attention to the self? What do you mean by drawing attention to the self?
You should not give too much importance to the paroksha part.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how do you not give importance to the paroksha? That is the question. Because what is happening? You are seeing somebody. Let's say Meher is throwing books. Throwing the shoes.
Yeah.
An event is happening. Or let's say your maid today also is coming late. So some event is happening. So now there is a certain thought process in the mind. This lady is always late. This fellow is very shabby. He may not be. I'm not saying that he is.
No, he is.
He may be. So
these are real life situations. I need to know what to do.
So now, the whatever the judgment we have about that appears in the mind. That is what we are calling as paroksha.
Yeah.
Right. So now that paroksha has also become Anumana, because we've seen 1 time, 2 time, 3 times they've thrown, they've been late, they've given excuses. So now strong. Oh, that is how they are. So this comes up in the mind. That's the nature of the mind. Now, how can you escape from that? Is there a need to escape from that?
I am going through this, Vijayji. After all this reading, Raga Dvesha comes and Kama Krodha, everything comes. And then I keep thinking, okay, there is some
we go through this
learning
process.
is happening, but
you're not applying it.
Not applying it in the sense the fleet of moment, it's all gone and it has happened. And then again, I'm thinking back, okay. Just the realization happens that all these things happened. If not for the satsang, I wouldn't have realized. I would have gotten more angry, or I would have all those things would happen. But now it's within few minutes after happening, it puts that lens and shows, oh, okay, this is what you did now. So after all this learning, this is what you did.
Yes. So the question again, the focus of the question is, so is there something that you can do to shift? So there's something happening. When something is happening, depending upon the whatever the impressions, certain thoughts and feelings and emotions are getting generated. So now, how can you escape from that, or is it even necessary to escape?
You just go with the flow.
Yeah. How to?
I
We just
think
go with the flow.
I
Yeah.
think if you shift to the observer mode, then it is it changes the perspective, and yeah, that can
Excellent.
help to solve, because what I experienced is reaction, mostly, you know, when we open the mouth only the reaction happens. I mean, it has happened. I mean, you know, thoughts can be going on, it can go even after the event.
But then
Mind
like
runs.
opening up is expressing, but it is still there.
No,
So
that
it
is
is
what
better
I'm
than
saying.
not,
See,
but it
when
is still inside
when
there.
you keep it, see, I feel there are two aspects to this. One is when you open your mouth and you say everything, it cannot be taken back. There is no way to go back from that. That is one thing. The other thing is, yes, there is conflict in the mind happening. Okay, but as long as it doesn't come out, there is no reaction or action from the other end, I feel. Okay, so I what I have figured out is, at least that part we can control if we keep our mouth shut. So one thing is to move away from there at that present. If you are not able to like handle, you can
It's
move
still
away
running
from
away,
there
right?
and then come back. That is one thing. Or you just keep quiet is another thing.
Keeping quiet to me is still like a pressure cooker. It is still cooking inside. It is the whistle did not blow. Someday it will blow up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not negating that, of course. That's why I'm saying that it will keep going on in the mind. That is there. And
That is
you know what? In some cases, I think if we are, for example, the maid situation, or you know, even our own children, we know them too well, just like they know very well that what can trigger us and what cannot trigger us. So I think when that situation comes, even before it happens, you know, this is what this guy is going to say, or this is how he is going to react. Okay, still we'll be only thinking, okay, this is what he is going to say. We won't think that, okay, in this situation I will also say the same thing. How can I change it? I think that's the part we need to look at. So I feel like what sir asked is, it is not that we have to do something there. I think if we become in like an observer mode, it is still okay. And I don't think it is said that we cannot get angry. Of course, there are times when we might get angry, and maybe it is needed also with younger kids, because they are not yet, they don't know, I mean, or they might be just doing in not being conscious of what they're doing, not in full awareness. They might be doing certain things like mobile and gaming things.
Yeah, that point I'm still a little confused.
Yeah.
Is-
No,
is-
I do stop. In fact, I don't get into arguments these days. I just confiscate. We have confiscation deals between me and Aditya. So it's like, okay, I'm confiscating this device for a number of days, or till you get this thing done. And then we write
These
and
are all
we
still,
sign and all.
Indriya Nigraha approaches.
Yeah.
You know, the laddu tempts me, so I'll keep away the laddu.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, that sound irritates me, so I'll put a earplug. So the escape, we have found a way to escape. And like Saravananji is indicating, when you escape, that thought is still there. That feeling is still there.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
It is not a freedom. So therefore, in that moment, let's say, for example, the maid is coming late. I don't want that. I want her to come early. So when I start having the thought of I don't want that, then there is an immediate raise of anger because I don't want her to be late, because I'm connected to the I don't want her to be late. Okay. Now, similarly, this is the dvesha part. Okay. So the beginning part of anger, beginning part is I don't want, which subsequently leads to anger, which subsequently leads to hate. So this is the cycle. You all very well know that.
Correct.
Then the other side is the other opposite. I want. And that leads to liking, then raga, then moha. That is the other side. So two branches, right? So these are the two branches that mind operates in. Want, don't want. Want leads to raga, don't want leads to dvesha. In that moment, what is happening? She is walking. In that moment, what is happening? Various thoughts and feelings and emotions are arising. Some is in the mind and some can be felt in the body. But that moment, when you shift to just accept whatever is happening as is, unconditional. It is not that moment. I want you to freeze to that moment. Because in that moment, she is coming. It's 10:20. Supposed to have been at 10 o'clock. Right now the clock shows 10:20. She is walking in. These thoughts, emotions, and feelings are arising. There is no way in the world any of this can be modified in that moment. Please notice. In that very moment, for example, right now, at this moment, it's a how much money you have, Shubhaji, in your bank account? You don't have to tell me. Whatever is the amount you have is what it is in this moment. It cannot be modified in this moment. In this moment, how much light do I have outside? In this moment, it cannot be modified. In this moment, how my surrounding is just the way it is. So when I shift to accepting the moment as it is, in that acceptance, there is no judgment. See, when there is a judgment, there is raga, dvesha. I don't want this, leads to dvesha. I want this, leads to raga. Both bind me. Both bind me. So in this moment, I see how it is happening. And I pass no judgment. This is the Sakshi Swarupa. Witness. Witness is not passing comments. Witness has completely accepted that moment the way it is. How much health I have got at this moment, whatever it is right now. What is my bank balance at this moment? Whatever it is. How is my child right now? However he or she is. In this very moment, there is nothing that I can do to change it. In this very moment. Then that brings the immediate next question, oh, then should we not do anything at all? That is not the point of this particular realization. This realization is, this moment is the way it is. It is 10:20 on the clock and the maid is walking now. The door is open and my child is throwing all the things around. I have fallen down and the hand is broken. There is a message in my mobile that I've lost the money. There's a phone call, my dear one has passed away. This is life. This moment, in this moment, that is how it is. When I don't have questions, interpretations, why not, how, ayo, when I don't have any kind of interpretation, in other words, I have distanced from the mental drama that is happening. I'm seeing even my own emotions. My own means what? Whatever the feelings and the thoughts and the emotions that are arising within my mind. Even that is happening here only. Whatever I'm seeing through my senses, I'm noticing. There is no, ayo, why this thought is coming? Ayo, why, how come a jealousy thought is coming in my mind? How come anger thought is coming in my mind? I've been reading so much of Tattva Bodha. Look at Prabhuji, he's always so peaceful. But look at my mind, it gets angry. Oh, he is someone. I am. All these are interpretations. In this moment, that thought is emerging, that feeling is emerging, that emotions are coming up. That is the reality. In that moment. So the one who accepts the moment as is the one who can be free in that moment. And the only one who is free in any moment can take the right next step in life.
Sir, but if we accept the moment as it is, what is there to be done?
Wonderful question.
Because why am I thinking about the next moment if I am in that moment? The whole game is that only, I am always in the past moments, or I am in some future moments, thinking about future moment in the present moment.
So, in fact, in one sense, the game of life ends. The game of life actually ends. For an absolute mirror, there is nothing to be done. It is just there as a reflecting surface now. Whatever comes, it starts reflecting. As long as the doer is there, now in the complete acceptance of the moment, the doer can see clearly, do I want to change? Okay, now it is 10:20. I may not be able to yell and say, why did you not come at 10 o'clock? That's a statement of ignorance. How can I rewind the clock? There is no way to go back. So I will not make such a statement. I will then see, okay, 10:20, what is that I needed to accomplish? And how can I accomplish? Only when the mind is free can you still clearly see all options. Either raga or dvesha leads to a narrower set of options. Like how a child learns, like how Shubhaji pointed at the beginning, a child learns spontaneously. Because that is all the realities for the child in that moment. There is nothing else. There is no past interpretation about that particular event. A small baby looking at the flower for the first time is so excited. There is no mental noise. Oh, I know this is called indica bacillus. This is taxonomy. All that is for an adult mind because, I know it. I've studied it in science. Oh, those people, I know them. They are infidels. I've studied it in my social. I've seen so many news channels. All this is my interpretation stored in the mind, coming at that time, and I getting mixed up with them. Nothing wrong in using the content of our mind. So the only freedom is to be free from the memory, the memory operators. If you really look at it, it's the memory that really bothers you, isn't it? It's the memory of the past that is coloring the situation that is happening right now, and you getting either angry or very attached to it. From where is it coming? In the memory.
No, not just memory. We built expectation. We planned it, saying, okay, this is what's next.
That is also in the memory, no? What needs to happen next? You have put a plan, but where is the plan? Plan is once again in the memory. So because the memory is already there, you compare against it, shouldn't have happened. Angry. Oh, is how it is. Oh, happy, attached. So the freedom from the memory operators can happen only when you are in the Sakshi. Are not in the Sakshi, you are as a Sakshi. So once again, why did we shift to this topic? Shubhaji was saying about need to be a self. I need to, she said, no, aparoksha anubhuti. She was talking about paroksha anumana pratyaksha. And I need to be in the aparoksha. There is no way to be in the aparoksha, in the sense that that is your nature. You just have to find the freedom from the operators of your mind. Is this a conversation bringing clarity? Then I become a sterile object, is it? Doing nothing, as is. This world is as is.
Yeah, that's what it happens, right? If you just accept everything as is, I
What
don't know
is
if I
that?
should even smile.
That is just kachada in my home. As is, this is the way the moment is. Oh, that one, my child, he always, that is how he's throwing, as is. My maid, 10:30, as is. Okay. My country, somebody is asking for rishwat, as is. As is. There's a catch, no, in this philosophy of life, or in this truth of life. But is this the truth or not?
Yes, it is.
There is no way I can change this moment. Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how did this wiring happen then?
So the fundamental reality is this moment cannot be modified. And life is this moment. Correct? No.
Yeah.
So the water that has gone past the bridge has gone past the bridge. And even before we speak, so many moments are passing by, and each moment is the way is, oh my God. Then if this is the fundamental truth of life, then what am I changing? Then you become a sterile object, do nothing, sit somewhere. Why even have this body? Drop the body, right?
Yeah.
No, it is not a sterile freedom. It is a childlike freedom. Childlike freedom is there are no inhibitions about what the next steps are. I saw a very nice ad. Looks like the child is very attached to some chocolate. Now the father, just to tempt the child, has gone to the balcony, has shut the glass door, and showing the child and eating the chocolate. Okay, this is a little child. What do you think the child will do? So this child brings a hammer, is about to hit the glass, and he suddenly opens the door and gives the chocolate. So only in freedom can spontaneous ideas and spontaneous actions occur.
Yeah. Also, what you need only you will do, no? At that moment, he wants only the chocolate. So I will somehow get it. I am not bothered whether it is hammer or glass. Yeah, but that I have observed, sir. I mean, in my personal experience, I have observed it. Maybe not so clearly in situations where I'm directly involved, but in my family itself, I've observed when other people are reacting or having some communication. If I become the observer, then a lot of things are reduced. For example, my intervention, my adding a couple of sentences, that all gets reduced. And somewhere you are able to see that situation also more practically, and rather than taking anyone's side, you are just able to look at it on a whole and let it go, or if necessary then do something. Otherwise you just move on, like you're watching a movie or something. Okay, let them sort it out, kind of thing. Yeah.
So it is the most free way of functioning in the world.
Yeah, it is not easy, but I agree with that. Yeah, I agree to that.
So
And
therefore,
also, I think a lot of judging ourselves and judging others also is not there after that. Because
See,
I think
the-
judgment comes from very strong conditioning only, right? I mean, we believe something should be this way, we are being told that way, or that is how we think that from whatever experiences that this is how it should be, or this is the only way to be. Those kind of things are very deep rooted, and that's why we judge others or judge any situation for that matter. So that is one thing I feel.
a small baby may pee or poop and may even be playing in that until somebody elder comes and says, shame, shame, very nasty. The child has no concept of a guilt. It happened. Right now, that also has become an object of play. So shame, guilt, anger, all these are out of the judgments.
I guess it requires constant conditioning to retune to that mode. It's like see, the witness mode is
I may correct one small thing there. Not a conditioning. It's not a conditioning. Conditioning means it's a thought process. See, please tell me right now, when you look outside the window, the amount of light that is there, can you bring any difference to that?
No.
Right now, the light that is in your room, can you bring any difference to that? Right now.
Mm-hmm. You're saying like wiping the.
No, see, that is in the next moment. The action you will take is in the next moment. In
So
this
right now
moment,
it's done. It's
yeah. How many fingers you have? It is. What thoughts are coming into your mind? What question are you contemplating right now? How are you dressed up right now? What your elder daughter is doing right now? What your wife is doing right now? For that matter, what all the people in the world are doing right now? How the whole of the existence is right now? This entire thing is like a click. Like a photo, once when clicked, no, it's clicked. This moment, how can it be any other moment? Only when I struggle with this moment, when I fight with the moment, it's like before Padmaji joined, we had a small joke, Padmaji, so that you can relate to the idea. A patient goes to a doctor and he says, I have a toilet problem. The doctor asks him, what is it? Is it related to number 1? He says, no. At 7 o'clock exactly it happens. No problem. Is it number 2? No. At 8 o'clock that also happens so easily. Then what is the issue you're having with toilet? I cannot get up till 9 o'clock. So like that, there's a problem that we invent in that current moment. It is like boxing with space, no? If I keep boxing with the space, who gets tired? I get tired. Is that making sense, Saravanan? Saravanan, you are on mute.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I had a small distraction here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking about how, if you keep fighting with the space, if you keep, let's say, like a fist fight with the space, with this space around, who gets tired?
Me.
Likewise, if I have a fight with the current moment,
Yeah.
who gets tired? Because I am the one who's passing judgments about the current moment.
Yeah. So, yeah, what I meant was, with this knowledge realization, living this way of accepting the moment by moment, and without having any expectation and fighting with that moment, and that itself, that has to become natural, right? Now that I have this knowledge, it has to become natural. That's that gap I was.
But that doesn't mean I should not plan. Absolutely okay. In
Yeah,
this
yeah.
moment, in this moment, I'm using it to look into the future. And I'm imagining this is how the future needs to be. Absolutely okay.
Okay.
And now I'm taking the step towards that future. Absolutely okay. In this moment, I'm taking the step towards that. Absolutely okay. But there is no expectation that this moment has to be that way. Because this moment is just the way it is already presented. Like in the sunrise and various photos of the nature, no? What a wonderful sunset. Just keep all the sunset photos. See if there is any fault you will find in any sunset photo. Every sunset, every day is so glorious. How can you ever find fault with this sunset, that day on the beach, that sunset was the ultimate sunset? You say that only because in that moment, the judgment apparatus was not operating. Otherwise, wow, is every moment. Yes, Padmaji.
No, so I was wondering if suppose, say our life is a count of infinite moments, suppose. Yeah, that's how it is, right? If I just use infinite rather than whatever, how many more moments we are given. So does the whole thing appear to be continuous only because of our mind, right?
Only because of the memory in the mind.
Yeah, because for example, say if this moment is as is and it is just as it is presented to us, and the action which I take for what is presented is also not in this moment, it's probably the next or the next to next moment.
Plan is in the future. Plan is you're preparing your mind for actions. Even planning is an action. In this moment, when you're looking into, okay, in another 2 years, I want to do something like this. You're acting in the current moment, and the action is called as planning action.
No, that I agree. But what I'm saying is essentially, if this moment is as it is and there is nothing to alter and just accept it as it is, then how do I see it as a continuous thing, right? That is why I have all that comparison or whether it is good or bad, not only with regards to what I have planned, but with regards to whatever has happened in the past. For example, a similar kind of situation, if it reappears, then then I have a tendency to compare, right? Whether, you know, this time is it the same or is it worse or is it, I mean, you have some feeling with that.
No. See, what is happening is, it is getting stored in your memory bank. It is stored in memory bank. Every impression coming your way is getting stored in the memory bank called chitta. So in this moment, if I say, oh, this is not a good phone, how can I say that? How can I say that this is not a good phone? Only if I compare something else against it.
Correct. Yeah.
This is an ordinary phone. Because I have something else in the mind, which is something else. So this and that are compared. So from my mind, I continue to use memory and I keep comparing these two snapshots. There is a snapshot in the mind and there is a current moment happening, and I'm constantly, I'm in the process of comparing. Oh, I like it. Oh, I don't like it. So it's the comparison that is happening against what you have in the mind. So life is a stream of snaps. Rather than accepting the snap as is, again, that doesn't mean that I should not plan for the future. That doesn't mean that I have to accept hunger as is. I have to accept somebody without clothes as is. That doesn't mean that I have to accept the whatever I need to change. But this moment, I can say, okay, I accept this moment as is completely, and I need to change this in the coming moment. So for that, now I'm acting, I'm making a plan. How to eradicate hunger from the world. But in that planning, see, if it is a true spontaneous action, true spontaneous feeling, there is no I associated. There cannot be a I. Unlike our social service organizations, no? We are doing a lot of charity. We are a charitable organization. We need to do social service. Like our Greta Thunberg, who stands up and talks about the environment. It all is not very spontaneous, not very natural. There's a lot of thinking process which has led to that kind of action in the moment. A true spontaneous childlike action, there's a total freedom. And you will know it. There's nobody else to come and certify. You will know it because in that moment, you're free even when you've done that action. Is it too vague or is it?
Agree.
Shall we continue, Shubhaji? We wanted to hear the parrot sing, but the crow couldn't stop. That's why you see, among all the birds, the crow keeps on craw, craw, craw.
We'll go to the T52.
Yes.
So in the T52, what I was going through, I think this is a little different from what I wrote.
You're not audible clearly, Shubhaji.
Okay. I think I need to come. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. In the T52, we came across this, how will a dog know the moon? Like what we point, the same way, how will we know about Atma is what Guruji is pointing out. So, see, don't know how. It's totally different what I have taken down.
No, don't worry, don't worry. You please express what you have taken down or what you have understood.
Okay, what I have taken down is our existence doesn't depend on pratyaksha, anumana, and paroksha. To know about self, we don't need all these, since unchanging I is myself, is what I have taken down based on this talk.
Excellent. That is what I think he has put here in the aparoksha anubhuti.
Okay.
When you say I exist, you don't need paroksha, anumana, pratyaksha.
Yeah.
That is why you've taken on that point. You're correct.
Okay. Yeah.
See here, there is an experiment that
Yes.
you
Yes.
can do.
Yeah.
Go to a dark room.
Ah.
Can you see a chair? You cannot. Why? You need physical eyes.
Or I
Light
should
has to
have
be there.
been there. Yeah. Okay.
Are you there?
Yeah.
No doubt.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Nothing else is needed.
Okay. Yeah. Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is what is the T52. When we go to the T53, where we talk about the Jagat. Okay, the same thing. Okay, something that is born and is gone in the world, and it keeps appearing and disappearing. That is what the Jagat is. Belief in God is paroksha. So our experiences, waking up, dream state, and deep sleep state, based on our experience, I hope I'm going the right path.
No, you please say whatever you have taken down, and then we can compare.
Prabhuji is talking about Jagat, which is the word. We have a paroksha that the world is born and it disappears. And he's and he's also talking about what the Vedanta says, like Jagat comes from Ishvara, how it comes from Ishvara, and is what I have taken it down like that. So he also talks about how Jagat came from Ishvara.
Excellent. Again, with like the first question I asked,
yeah,
how do you relate to this?
Okay.
What is your understanding of this, and how is it valuable to you?
That analysis I have not done. I just started understanding each one. Then the next step I have to get into how it affects me and how I can put it in my life. These things.
Excellent. What about Saravananji and Padmaji with in relationship to what Shubhaji is saying? What is your experience? How do you relate to this, and how is it valuable to you in your day-to-day life?
You are by that you are referring like how do we connect that world comes from Ishvara, that statement?
Yeah, so right now, from where the world is coming?
World is coming from within me.
Excellent.
I am the world.
I am the world.
Yes, I am the world.
Yeah. Now that
essentially what
no, I am not the world. The subject, world is the object.
Okay. Okay.
Right. The world comes.
Yeah, correct. I mean,
me.
what I was trying to say is, I'm not talking about the I, which you are referring to. I'm talking that, I'm saying that world is essentially what I make up of in my mind. So I am the world. Whatever I am seeing is how is my thoughts, or it's based on my mind, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
The mind creates.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Mind is creating the world, and the world is.
So it is not it is not independent or outside of me is what I'm trying to say. It is within me is what I'm saying.
Okay, excellent. So this is as far as our individual mind is concerned. Even at an individual level,
Correct.
whatever I've collected is what I start projecting as the world. Is that what is being said here by Prabhuji?
No, that's what, I mean, for us, it is like that. Means I see it, the world differently. You might see it differently. That is why I say that my world is within me. But on a whole, if you see, there is only existence.
Padmanji is not
Video
audible.
stuck.
Yeah.
Video and audio both are stuck.
Am I audible now?
You are audible now.
Now, yeah.
You're back.
Am I audible?
Yes, Padmaji.
We lost you for
my internet connection is yeah. No, so I was saying that differently, there might be differences. That is why I say that my world is me, and there is only existence. Nothing else is there. So if I say existence, then Brahman is the only existence. There is nothing else other than are the same. Because there is nothing else. Even I am Brahman, then if world is also Brahman, then what else is there? Only Brahman is there, only existence is there. Is how I understand it. I mean, if there is any mistake in understanding, then.
What about Saravanan-ji?
So, yeah, so the way it is like based on this Avastatriya, right? Like I am there always, and as I go through this, as the three states happen, in the waking world, the world appears, and again, like it disappears once the body goes to sleep, right? So it is just like it's a continuous show kind of thing that keeps coming and going, but it is not. It's not real, right? So I am basically seeing what is like I'm the witness to what is happening, right? If right, it's a constant change, and maybe that's how I see the work of Maya, right?
Okay, so let's use some pictures to get some idea clearly. See, we start out with this kind of a worldview. I am there, as a body, and I have a collection of some thoughts. And there is an higher being outside of me, and that is the all-pervading, and there is world. Correct? This is the concept. This is the way I see it. This is the wrong concept. There's nothing outside. There is only pure awareness, and everything is just a change And the change is what I call as the prapancha. Even the body, even this body is prapancha.
Yeah.
The thoughts and the feelings and the emotions, everything is within this. There's nothing outside of this. And the only one who is aware is this. So only the light of awareness is lighting everything. And at an essential level, the world is nothing but a projection of the mind.
Mind, yeah.
Not
yeah.
an individual mind necessarily. Not an individual mind. It is not that, okay, this person's mind has become the mind of this. Not like that. But this is what is happening, and this is what is being perceived in this mind. And in this mind, certain thoughts and feelings, or there is somebody else with thoughts and feelings. These are two different. Is the fundamental ignorance,
Yeah.
which makes me feel the world this way. That I am connected to only these thoughts and feelings is what makes me think of the world this way. It what makes me feel the world this way.
That shift is
The shift.
shift in consciousness, right? I as Saravanan to I as this the isolated self.
This isolated self is the one which feels, oh, there is a world out there. There is so many things which I did not do. So therefore, there must be some God, some Paramatma. So there is outside. So here, we are clarifying that there is only pure consciousness. And the world is a projection of the mind of the Ishvara. Is this making sense in connection to the video?
Yeah, basically the idea is the world should not be seen as something outside and so seen as something real and like trying to expect something from that. It's more in oneself.
Yeah. So the world is not a projection of the individual thoughts, not in that sense. But what is the essence of me? What is the essence of me as an individual? What is my essence? What is my unchanging nature? Is the essence, right?
Yeah, correct. Unchanging nature.
And my essence is what?
Satchit Ananda.
Yeah. Pure awareness.
Pure awareness, yeah.
And the objects of the world, essence is the same. So which means what? There cannot be two awareness. Because we are saying fundamental essence.
Yeah.
So there is only one awareness. At an individual self, I feel separated. And when that separateness is not operating, like, when the mind is silent for some times, I feel one with everything. Because there is
So
no
again-
I coming to say, I am feeling one with everything. The moment I say I feel one with everything, I have become separated. I have to operate from an individual mind. Universal mind cannot be making such a statement because there is nobody else to make a statement to.
Going back to that example which we used,
Yeah,
still see that I am separate from the maid and the child.
that is because that light of awareness is shining on all the objects. And in this mind, it shines on the objects in this mind. And this, when the the individual I, the Chidabhasa, it connects to only the objects in this mind and says, this is mine, yours, all that is coming because of that. At the end of the day, how the other objects of the world are appearing as sensations in the mind. At the end of the day, the mobile, I never know what a mobile is. I only have a sensation about the mobile in the mind. I do not really know what a book is. I only have sensation about the book. The sensation from the touch, the sensation from the seeing, the sensation from the hearing. So ultimately everything is appearing as a sensation. And these sensations, I say this is different and this is different. It's only a labeling that is happening about the sensations and separating them out. Shubhaji, is this resonating or is it confusing?
Getting pretty clearer, and I'm able to connect with what I wrote also. Now it's coming back. Yeah. I'm able to remember what I saw in the video.
So the only unchanging is the light of the awareness. Everything else is continuously changing. And the world fundamentally appears as sensations in the mind. So in one sense, in my mind, I have Padmaji, Saravananji, Mihirji, the phone, all the objects, all are nothing but appearing in the mind. That's why Prabhuji always gives that 3D holographic example. You go to a 3D movie, you wear a 3D glass, and some 4D movies are also there where some chair also
EEG
tilts
screen.
and they push air and it feels very real.
Is it frozen or?
Hello. Shubhaji? Saravanan?
Okay. Bye.
Yeah, please. Sir, we
Mute.
can't hear you.
You are muted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I was giving the analogy of the 3D glasses that Prabhuji refers to. When you wear a 3D glass and when you're looking at a movie, it feels very real.
Yeah, yeah. Like that, the mind is projecting the world. But the picture that is shown to all is from a common one, right? At a Prakriti level, not.
What is your question or statement?
The sense, they say sun and the mountains and the land. That common thing is projected more from a Prakriti point of view, right? Maya has created it, and then individually, then we have our own mini view of the world projection.
At the end of the day, how can you say that, there's another world being projected by Vijay? Because Vijay is an object in your mind.
In my mind, yeah, that's true. That's true.
And in your mind, that's why Prabhuji always says about waking dream.
Yeah.
In your waking dream, Vijay is speaking. In your waking dream, Vijay is talking about his world, which you are able to see in your waking dream. So ultimately, the dream is only for you.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I agree. Agree. Yeah. It's yeah. If you take the dream one, yeah, very apt. Yeah, all the characters are there in the dream, including Saravanan as a character.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
That's why I see Saravanan also is appearing here. The world is appearing.
Yeah.
What we refer as the world. And the thoughts and feelings and the emotions and all the judgments and everything is also appearing. This is the screen in which various changes are appearing. Your own body, your own mind, your own thoughts, your own feelings, and other characters. So it's a fully immersive technology.
So only for understanding purposes, we refer it to as collective consciousness, right?
Collective consciousness means there are different consciousnesses and they're collected together. So that's why the better, maybe an English translation could be universal consciousness.
Okay, no, because when I was saying collective consciousness, I was referring to all these, the diseases and all the things that are coming now. Because I think I remember asking you once that if corona is being experienced by so many, and if my world is my thoughts, why would I want such a world, and why so many people are experiencing it, even if it is just me? Then I think that time I don't know if I'm remembering it correctly, but you had mentioned something about some things being like it's a group thing, right? Like everybody is experiencing that, just like the mountain or the sun that you were referring to earlier.
See, the one who has judgment about whatever that is coming and going is you. That corona is good, corona is bad is you. Depending upon, the nature of how you see the world.
Perceive it through.
Yeah. Okay. Now, in ultimate reality, corona may be actually giving mukti to so many.
Correct. Yeah, and I understand that part. I am just questioning this for understanding it better. Like, Okay, again, that is my thinking. Okay, my thought process. Okay, okay. Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
So only the individual I
yeah,
has continuous stream of judgments about situations.
yeah. True. Yeah.
So the purification process of that individual I is a sadhana, where karma yoga to be done as a service, so that the mind becomes subtle enough to really loosen its grip.
Yeah.
So how are we then connecting to this? Are they distinct or are they same? Now, based on whatever we saw and what we have heard and what you've written, because the world is at only a personal level. At your level, there is world.
Then there is only Brahman, no sir. There's only consciousness, nothing else.
Ah. And
Yeah.
that's why you are that. Tat Tvamasi, you are that. There
And
cannot be two awareness.
appears in that and disappears in that.
Even this body and mind called Padma or Saravanan or Vijay, whatever, appears and disappears in this.
Yeah. It finally becomes the dream of Brahman. That's it.
Yeah. Which
It's
is
kind
wrongly
of like
taken as
you
a
can-
dream of Vijay, dream of life of Saravanan.
it becomes meaningless sometimes. Like, there's nothing to get excited to go run, achieve, and
No. See, that's why the right reference is a child. An adult's reference is what is the meaning in the world. A child's reference is wow, what a wonderful world. That has to be constantly clear to us. If what is there in the world is coming, the mind is operating. Thought process is operating. Please look at it. A child is never asking these questions. Child doesn't attend our contemplation session.
but then yeah. We do push, and I don't know, should I even talk? if I talk to my child, will I make sense?
So no, but you can talk and you need to talk. What you need to talk about is what is the truth and how to conduct life in the dharmic way, because that form has appeared so that it has to fulfill its own karma. It has to exhaust its vasanas. Otherwise, it may get caught up in the changing part of the life. Please understand, Vedanta traditionally used to be given at the end of the sadhana pada. So usually one shishya goes to a guru and then the guru makes the shishya do a lot of karma yoga, bhakti yoga. A lot of sadhana is done so that the mind is silent enough and most of its vasanas are exhausted. And then the Vedanta knowledge is given. Vedanta jnana is given. And Vedanta doesn't mean inaction. Vedanta doesn't mean sterile. Vedanta doesn't mean lack of excitement. What Vedanta is doing is really this pointing. Vedanta is not at all talking about the
But,
reality.
but this is where I go into a loop. We just
Yes.
started with, I am the only real, the truth, and everyone is object, and even a child is object in me. Am I trying to impose some, or like I'm trying to make that object?
A mirror doesn't have inhibition about what to show, what not to show. Whoever comes in front of the mirror just displays.
Okay.
So if the child is asking, you respond.
Okay.
And when you see something and in the spontaneous feeling, something else is the right way to be, see how to help. But there is no predisposition that this is the way it has to be. Then what is the fun of doing all the foundation and planning and having projects? That may be your next question, no? Then how do you plan for the future?
What is future?
It is a feeling of how you want to paint the canvas. There's a white canvas and you have colors, your paintbrush. What do you want to do? What do you want to create? But that creation is going to come and go. So all that Vedanta is giving us clarity is, don't be connected to the creation. Don't be attached to the creation, but be fully involved in the creation. It's only giving clarity about that everything is changing. Nanu yaralla, who I am not. But it is not at all negating the world. It is not at all advising, go and be sterile. It's saying, what's the wonderful painting that you want to put? But not to be attached with the picture that you're putting. So there's constant freedom. In the spontaneity of the freedom, what is the creation?
You're saying like, take a lot of hours, draw a picture, and then keep it aside, and then start the next one.
Excellent point. Do you know about there is a great Buddhist tradition called as mandala creation. Have you seen mandalas? Some of the mandalas.
It will be so difficult to do something for 8 hours and then just keep it aside, not even look at it. Okay.
So some of these mandalas are so so the whole approach during the mandala is like this, they create very, very intricate and complicated and very involved creations, okay? And it is a painstaking thing. This is done using like our Rangoli art. Each and every bit is constructed together. At least some 5-6 of them work together for weeks together. And it's a very involved activity. You see the kind of patterns there, very involved. And the last day comes when the master comes and blows it away.
Okay.
Then why the hell did I create all this? No, because that is your intrinsic nature, to be creative. There is no because also. Parrot, the cuckoo doesn't say, I'm singing because I'm capable of singing. It just sings. Because true spontaneous creation happens in the moment.
Yeah, creating it and not having attachment to that creation is the
Creating
toughest.
Yeah. And the process, the journey is the enjoyment, not the end object. So only when you have blown it away can you bring something new. Otherwise, how can you bring something new? You will constantly be framing this and putting it and saying that this is what I did, this is what I did, this is what I did, this is what I did. Look at us.
We hold on to it.
Yeah. Creativity also stops, I think, with that.
This is what I did, this is what I did. You know my certificates, look at my certificates, look at my certificates. I did. You know, when I was your age, I was so good. I used to love painting when I was your age. Now I carry the world. Ayo, Ram.
No, when I saw the documentary, I didn't realize why they Guru comes and takes it away. Now I
What is it?
understood the thing behind it. Thanks for the clarification, sir.
Which documentary is this?
This came in History Channel, I think. My kids are watching.
I didn't know this.
So even I was wondering, why do they, in the end, why do they just destroy? Now I understood the thing behind it. We shouldn't hold on to it. Yes.
Actually, you know what? Even after hearing, it will be different if I go through it. You asked me to do it, and then I think somehow I was just feeling that I have to go through it, which is what I think I'm going through.
That is where all our Tattva Bodha things application comes in the picture.
Yeah, I think
so Tattva Bodha is giving us the knowledge, but then I have to practice.
Maybe it's similar to the art, the world. I am making it or whatever, and then with time it's just moving, and it says move on, don't hold on to the previous one.
That is why the Guru always asks us to do whatever we are doing as a offering. When you offer, there is no expectation that it will come back. It's it's going to be burnt. That's the nature of it.
Yeah.
And only by that can the mind be free from its impressions to realize you are actually the non-doer. Non-doership is not at all sterile. Very creative, spontaneous creation, but no attachment. Look at all the great works of art. You would have heard. You ask them, how did this happen? I don't know. I was completely immersed in it. Is the general answer you get? A poet has described it little more imaginatively. He says, I am in the farm and I'm working on something. Suddenly the feeling comes and it is like something in front of me, like a wave, and I want to catch it and I run behind it. And before it goes away, I want to put it into paper. Otherwise it is gone. Actually, poetry is not on the paper, you see. Because on the paper, we are seeing somebody's feeling of that moment. Drawing is not the picture that we are seeing, you see. Drawing is actually in that moment, that flow that was happening.
Yes.
That's why many musicians feel different when they are in the chamber with audience. They say, when I'm recording for something versus when I'm our Indian music is called as that, therefore, Manodharma Sangeeta. Manodharma means it is not confined to, though there is a raga structure, within that raga, how they bring about that creativity is only in that moment, and that cannot be recreated. It is done and dusted.
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
Only if
yeah.
I record it, I say, oh, wonderful music.
Correct,
That
correct,
day
correct.
it was wonderful. But it is done. The creative, the child doesn't really hold on to it, plays and throws all the stones away.
Done.
Have you seen little children playing? They take some stones, some sticks and some mud, and they are playing, and they create so many wonderful things, and tuck, when Amma calls, they run away. That's it. It was such a wonderful creation for them in that moment.
There's no attachment. But
Absolute joy in that moment.
yeah, actually, yeah, true. Somewhere like, yeah, some major mistake happened.
No, and that's why the thing is,
I think it started
the child lost its innocence because of Ajnana. So right now, the childlike, but whenever the mind goes into Ajnana, to bring back the right Jnana is necessary.
I think it's good one today. Yeah. Wherever it started, but
see, that's why we
this
should be
is what I
really
meant.
grateful to
It's more
Shubhaji.
about, not about running through the pages. It's just stopping there.
Lot of things becomes clearer when we start discussing it and when examples come in.
All right. So shall we end our today's session?
Yeah. Good.
Really sorry, Shubhaji. We wanted to hear you, but you.
No, sir. Actually, it gave me a better picture of what I had written. These discussions actually made things more clearer for me.
Wonderful. Shubhaji, will you lead us?
Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead me from untruth to truth, darkness to light, impermanence to permanence.
You see, even our discussions are not necessarily planned. We have a structure, but see, it spontaneously develops. What is right for our evolution happens. And that's the inherent trust that the baby has about the mother and about the existence for each one of us. That what is right for the evolution is being presented.
Yeah.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudichyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, that is complete. This is complete. When completeness is removed from completeness, what remains is complete. When completeness is added to completeness, totality remains complete. Om, peace, peace, peace. Nanu, nanembudu, nanalla, ideha, manabuddhi, nanalla, Sachidanandatma, Shivananu Nane, Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. I'm not the body, mind, intellect. I'm pure consciousness, Shivaswari. Atmadarshanam, Brahmadarshanam, Brahmadarshanam, Satyadarshanam. Recognition of self is recognition of the whole. Recognition of the whole is the truth. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanat Mrityormukshiyamamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanat Mrityormukshiyamamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanat Mrityormukshiyamamritat. We worship the three-eyed one who is fragrant and who nourishes all. Like the fruit falls off from the bondage of stem, may we be liberated from death, from mortality. Lokaha samastaha sukhino bhavantu. Lokaha samastaha sukhino bhavantu. Lokaha samastaha sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy, healthy, and peaceful. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Thank you very much, Shubhaji.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.